Good morning. This is a special Board of Education meeting held remotely for the purpose of approving the 2020-2021 school budget as well as the school property tax report card. At this time, the meeting is remotely located due to COVID-19. I turn it over to the president, Ms. Pamela Stroh.
Good morning, everyone. Let's call the meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll get into it with item 2. I don't believe there are any agenda changes today. No? So we'll go to item 3. This is our community question and answer period. If there happen to be any community members online who would like to speak, we welcome that opportunity. We just ask that you state your name and address prior to speaking. Do we have one wishing to speak this morning? Okay, on to item 4, the proposed Hhcsd Central School District budget.
I turn this over to Katie Bizzetti, and she will give us a final presentation just so that the audience knows that because she's sharing her screen, one of the things that will happen is the board members will be reduced down to the side. They will be still here, and our controller on the video will shift between each of the people as well so that they're still here. And then we'll return to the gallery view and discussion. We also, Warren Conklin is now joining us. Thank you. All you.
Just give me 1 second to share my screen. Everyone.
What I would ask is why Katie's presenting, just because there's some background noise, if we could all mute and then unmute questions for.
Great, thank you, Dr. Douglas. Good morning, everyone. This morning, thank you all for joining us again so quickly and so early in the morning. We're going to walk through this morning and go over what we're proposing for the 2021 budget next year. So as we discussed on Monday, we all know our state aid situation is not the best for next year. Our foundation aid is being held flat at 1920 levels, as well as being adjusted down and being replaced with that federal pandemic adjustment. So looking at all the pieces together, state and federal, our total aid that we're expecting, at least at this point, is $34,184,000, which is down $238,000 from last year, or 0.7%. Recall we talked on Monday that there's those 4 measurement periods within the 2021 budget that the governor has the option of reducing aid to various state agencies if the state budget overall is suffering its own revenue shortfall. First measurement period ended April 30th. We're still waiting to hear what that means for us, if anything, at this point, with the next one ending June 30th. So we should have some more information of what 2021 should look like, at least in the next few months, and we'll have to react accordingly as the information comes out. Our tax cap calculation, based on the feedback we heard from the board, we went ahead with the recommendation to reduce a bit of the carryover down to $300,000 down here, which carries over. Sorry, my transitions are struggling with me. There we go. Which plays into the decrease as well as the decrease in the overall exemptions. We use $630,000 in debt service to bring this capital exemptions piece down. By using a portion of our own savings, that brings the overall levy down from 6.76% down to 4.98%. This does meet the tax cap calculation as required by law. That debt service piece is incorporated in the calculation. So this 4.98 is the new maximum allowable increase based on the calculation by law. So this will result in a $1.9 million increase in our levy for the 2021 budget. So what does this mean? 4.98 levy percent translates into a estimated tax rate projected at this time based on the information we have today, remaining flat at 1804 or going up to 1842. So 0.02% to 2.09%. A conservative estimate, again, based on this information, could result in a tax increase of $38 per 100,000, or it could mean a flat increase, or not a flat, just a flat change, remaining at 1804. Again, based on conservative estimates with the preliminary assessments we have today, but we are, again, fortunate to see that growth within our area. The assessments I typically receive now to what we see in August have a good trend of continuing to go up. So we're optimistic that we'll see favorable rates in the fall.
And Katie, if I may interject with those favorable rates, the 0 to 38 is our range. Our typical trend is being lower than our higher end of our range over the last 15 years, all but 1 year.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas. So since Monday, these are the final adjustments that were made to balance the budget. Stop loss was reduced by $110,000. We had a conversation with our healthcare consultants as well as the finance committee to take a good look at where our stop loss insurance should be for the year. The board will see on the agenda next week to move our threshold up to $250, which results in premium savings without impacting the coverage that we're expecting back. We have some final adjustments to our ERS and TRS expenses. As we discussed on Monday, that any surplus or savings that we realize from these final adjustments we put into our health claims to continue to step forward to meeting our new increased obligations. So health insurance claims were increased by $382,000, and then some just minor adjustments that resulted in a $3,000 decrease. Flipping over to the revenue side, only adjustments that were made at this point were to put our tax levy increase in and the debt service fund money in. So with those two components, our budget is balanced, at $82,129,851. Within this budget, we are continuing to use the same levels of fund balance and reserves as we did last year, with the addition of the $630,000 of the debt service fund, for a total support from these areas of $3.2 million. Sorry, I don't know why it's skipping all over the place on me this morning. I apologize. So here's our overall budget comparison based on the final budget. We are looking at a 2.78% increase, or $2.2 million. This budget was built very conservatively this year. We've maintained all of our contractual obligations. We've included the budget considerations that we talked about on Monday, which is the GPS on the buses, the transportation truck, the Garden Road cafeteria monitor for their increased enrollment needs, the increase to the health and safety hygienist through GST BOCES, and the 2 unified bowling coaches. Again, we'll see how the year plays out before we really get into some of these new additions. But a 2.78 increase to maintain our programs, our staff, and add a few items of health and safety is a very positive end result.
Katie, one of the things to draw out is that you see a 16.63% on Board of Ed and Central Administration, so that the board knows you've been trying to clean up some of the budget lines, and this is a shift of benefits that largely goes into those codes. And we have some of that throughout the budget where you'll see some increases, but it is primarily just trying to get the benefits recoded properly to the appropriate place.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. One of the things we've been working on behind the scenes is the recoding of some expenditures related to our new transparency reporting that's required of us, and our ESSA reporting. There's very specific guidelines about how certain codes are reported and how they have to be broken out and allocated. So one of the things we've been working on behind the scenes is recoding some expenditures, getting them in a place that aligns better with these new state reports, which included some shifts in curriculum pay, substitute pay, our health buyout costs and things like that. So anything that was considered the quote unquote district-wide, our 99 codes, has now been broken out a little bit more specific. This is our overall revenue comparison. As we discussed, our taxes are going up on $1.9 million. I realize this is a slight change from the number we saw before, but tax items does include changes in our pilots, which is also incorporated in this figure. State aid is a standalone, not looking at that federal piece, is actually a decrease of 2.29% or $787,000 as a result of that pandemic adjustment, building aid, excess cost aid, the things we talked about in earlier presentations. Federally, we do have that pandemic adjustment coming in at $448,000. So total adjustments, 2.2 million, as we saw in the budget, are 2.78%.
Katie, on tax item there says 4.97. Should that say 4.98, or is that just the?
Nope, that is correct. The tax items also includes our pilot items that we receive, as well as tax penalties and things like that. So there's more than just our tax levy within this number, so it did adjust the number slightly. So at this point, all of our tools have been used to balance the budget. We've decided on our tax levy. We've used our reserve, our fund balance, final budget reductions, and state aid stands where it is at this point. So again, it was a positive budget based on all the, all the chaos, I guess, happening within the state budget given to COVID-19. We were able to maintain at this point all of our educational programs and extracurricular programs. We were able to continue to look at those items of safety, like the GPS tracking on the buses. A reminder that we're continuing our initiative to update all of the radios in our buildings for that emergency communication. We did the buses in 1920, and we're going to continue on that track in 2021 to look at the radios within the buildings. We used our district reserves of $600,200. We utilized $630,000 in our debt service reserve to bring our tax levy down from 6.76 to 4.98, and continue to use $2 million from our fund balance. So again, based on the estimated information we have for assessments at this point in time, the rates are looking favorable. The projections are coming in at between a flat change or $38,000 per $100,000 of assessed home value. Our budget for 2021, the increase falls in line with our historical trends. We're actually less than last year. Again, just being conservative in how we built our budget this year and sticking to what we need to maintain and the items of health and safety. This is an overall review of our reserve funds. Our balances as of 6/30/19 total $11,716,000 of all the reserves we currently have within the general fund. They're down as of 3/31, but that's due to the utilization of those appropriated fund balances during the 1920 year. So we're still maintaining healthy balances in our reserves. So the propositions on the ballot for the 2021 budget vote and Board of Election, Proposition 1 will be the adoption of our 2021 budget. Proposition 2 is the purchase of 6 full-size school buses and 2 wheelchair accessible buses at a cost not to exceed $1.3 million. We have 4 candidates listed for the board election. They are required to be listed in alphabetical order. So we have Tom Casey, Warren Conklin, Brian Lynch, and Najib Brayman. And by executive order, our budget vote this year is by absentee ballot only. Per this order, we're required to mail a postcard to all residents with information about how to vote this year by absentee ballot. Our postcard will be going out this week. Absentee ballots will come with a postage paid envelope to ease the process on our voters to put it back in the mail. Our public hearing will be held remotely on June 1st at 6 o'clock, and our absentee ballots must be received by the district by 5 o'clock on June 9th in order to be counted. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Katie,
Yes.
way back when you did the slide where administrative costs went up 16%, if somebody were to say that to me and then I said, well, it's recoding, where would I point them to show a decrease because we shifted the codes to be recorded properly?
Yep. So part of that increase is how we're recoding our curriculum work, moving it to an administrative expense code. Trying to think what else we put in there at this point. Sorry.
But it would have had it was previously recorded.
Yes, those were previously recorded in an instructional code.
Okay. So then somebody should see it decrease there potentially. Is that a way to understand it or not?
Yes, it is a way. We have 1,000 budget codes if people can follow that, but yes, also within that increase is the increase in that health and safety. No, excuse me. Nope, that's in BOCES. I'm just looking through my notes here. But yes, there's a corresponding decrease for every change that was made.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Katie?
Once you are ready, Mrs. Strollo, I'll have Katie unshare her screen so we can put everybody up for any discussion.
Okay, I think we're finished. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to item 5, our action vote. And we have in front of us 502 and 503, the proposed school district budget and the proposed property tax report card. So I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, on to item 6, any final board member comments?
Pam,
Yes.
Ms. Strollo. I just want to thank the administrative team and Ms. Bizzetti particularly for all the hard work on the budget as they do every year. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Doug. Marianne?
I joined Doug in that. It's just a tremendous amount of work, and I'm sure it was extra difficult this year. So a big thanks to all involved.
Thank you. Okay, then we will wrap up for today, and I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
You too.